It's a common misconception that drinking 8 glasses of water a day is enough for healthy hydration. But sweat consists of water and sodium, which means you need water plus electrolytes to stay properly hydrated. Thankfully, there are products like Element that have all your electrolyte needs covered. You can try Element Recharge Sample Pack by going to drinkelement.com/speak for only the cost of shipping.
Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Oh, I'm killing them.
Killing who?
I like to call this like my San Jose Sharks look. You know, black and turquoise. Jacksonville Jaguars. Marcel Wiley here. You winning.
You look
dog.
amazing. We got a show, big dog.
Oh,
You know
let's
I get dressed for these shows now.
Ooh.
For the good shows, I break out the fit.
Okay. We might have some party favors, too, on this show. I heard, Sha'Carri. All right, let's get it started with the NBA playoffs. And the Suns are in the NBA Finals. Good for y'all. And the Bucks are now just one win away from joining them. But this year's playoffs have seen several injuries to the league's top stars. Giannis and Trae Young both had to miss Game 5 last night due to injuries. Take a look. 10 All-Stars have missed at least one game this postseason, which is the most in NBA history in over 60 years. The amount of injuries prompted the New York Times to ask if this year's title will have an asterisk. Oh, there's that word, Acho. So, will this year's NBA championship have an asterisk?
Unfortunately, yes, Sel. And it's because of this reason. Basketball, football, baseball, soccer, most of these sports that are not primarily gladiator sports, you're supposed to give the award, the trophy, to the best team.
Okay.
Not the team that can endure the pain the longest. If you and I went to Rome and were to go to the Coliseum,
we're going to Rome?
I've been to twice. Yeah, we got to go to Rome. If you and I were in Rome and in the Coliseum, big dog, and we were sitting in the Coliseum steps on those brick and mortar logs and whatnot, if you will.
Damn.
Yeah, then it would be a test of attrition. That's sports, gladiator sports, that's a war of attrition. But basketball, Sel, it's not supposed to be a war of attrition, and that's all the NBA playoffs have been this year. Sel, you got 14 of the series that have been played so far. 14. Out of those 14 series, 8 have included games missed by All-Stars. Whether the Lakers miss Anthony Davis and thus you didn't get to see them at their best versus the Suns, or in that same series, Chris Paul gets hurt and thus you didn't get to see him at his best versus the Lakers, or on the East side when you see the Nets and the Bucks and Kyrie gets hurt and James Harden battles an injury the whole time, so you don't get to see the Nets at their best. Or now, even in the Eastern Conference Finals when Giannis is hurt and Trae Young is hurt, so you don't see nobody at their best and Brooke Lopez is the star. Yes, this series, this season will have an asterisk. And the primary reason this season will have an asterisk is because injuries are a part of the game, but injuries are not supposed to overtake the game.
Oh, man.
Injuries are a part of the game, Self. They shouldn't take over it. It's like instant replay. Instant replay is a part of the game.
Yeah.
But you remember, what was it, Phoenix Suns game 1 or game 2 versus the Clippers when the last 30 seconds took 33 minutes? Instant replay a part of the game. But instant replay ain't supposed to trump the game, and injuries have trumped the game.
And you had something better to do other than to watch them.
I was in Soho House.
What were you doing?
I was trying to eat dinner.
You were at Soho House?
Yeah, first time going. It was nice.
First of all, you weren't focused on the game doing your job because you were at Soho House, and we know what Soho House is about. It's Soho House. It's a beautiful place. You look too good to sound so bad right now. I mean, come on. You know damn well it's not an asterisk for this season, as there's not an asterisk for any season. Now, in jest, I will always go there and clown the Fakers for their bubble ring last year, but that's just joking. That's just a Clipper fan in me. In all seriousness, it's too difficult to win a championship, no matter how you get up that mountain, for me to strip you or tear you down, or worse, try to overshadow it by calling it an asterisk. Asterisk, too. Asterisk. I'll hear you over there. Scruggle bus. Look, the reason why I don't like this is because, one, every single year, every single team is compromised to some degree. The entire NBA is compromised to some degree. So what we're talking here is really severity. When we're talking severity, we're talking degrees. When you're talking severity and degrees, you're not talking objectively. So to put an objective asterisk next to a season, I need some objective measures. You don't have any. I don't have any. No one will have any. You will say, this year's the most. That's not objective. That's relative to what the other experiences have been. And let me give you some of those experiences to prove that this is not just an objective standard. 2019, NBA champion Raptors benefited from what? KD went down, bruh. Achilles. Klay Thompson went down. Shall I continue? 2018, Chris Paul popped that hammy. We know what was going on. They were up in that series before that. What about the Warriors and the Cavs? Kevin Love, where you go? Kyrie Irving, where you go? Only played one game in that finals. We could go to the #1 seeded Bulls team, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, where he at? All those guys. I keep going. I see Magic Johnson here, hurting his hamstring game 3 in the series. I see Byron Scott. I see Isaiah Thomas, et cetera, et cetera. Now you want to come up here because you're a prisoner of the moment. You want to come up here right now and say,
I'm free.
You know what? I think this is the most that it's been, so therefore... First of all, no, it is the most. But since it's the most, doesn't mean that it's an objective way to strip those who will survive the war of attrition. Why? Because every other team was rewarded with a championship without an asterisk, surviving the war of attrition. Make this one different than the rest, other than saying the most is relative.
Asterisks. We're talking about figuratively. I don't want to see a literal asterisk in the championship books next to the name.
So don't take your
But
words.
we're talking about figurative asterisks. Yes, this is objective because objective says representing facts. Objective is disregarding opinion. It's not my opinion that more stars than ever have been injured. It's a fact that you and I are verbally representing. So it is, in theory, based upon the definition, objective. But yes, we've seen injuries affect teams individually in years past. Kevin Durant gets hurt. Kawhi Leonard for the Spurs gets hurt when they were probably going to beat the Warriors. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love get hurt when the Cavs were probably going to beat the Warriors. You can go from team to team to team to team.
Year to year to year.
Year to year to year to year. But now we see it at large. You got money in the stock market, I would assume. I got money in the stock market.
What'd it do?
The government does not issue national assistance when an individual loses money. They issue assistance when the whole market crashes. If I lose some bread, they're not going to be like, oh, well, Acho got hurt financially. Here, take some money. Well, Marcel's got hurt financially. Here, take some money. Nah, but when everybody get hurt, that's when the government starts to look around and say, uh-oh, everybody getting hurt. Here, take some assistance.
Okay.
With that being said, I'm not issuing an asterisk when Kevin Durant and the Warriors get hurt. I'm not going to introduce an asterisk because that's one individual. I'm not going to introduce an asterisk when Kawhi Leonard for the Spurs gets hurt, and they really had a chance, at least in game 1, it looked like, to overtake the Warriors. I'm not going to issue an asterisk when Chris Paul gets hurt when the Rockets are winning 3-2 over the Warriors. But when you see everybody, Trae Young, Giannis, Kyrie, Harden, AD, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Kawhi, when you start to see everybody get hurt, it's time to issue an asterisk like the government would issue assistance.
No, that one cute example. Cute. I will say it was cute. It almost landed squarely. But no, in all seriousness, I really think that because it's affected so many, just individually, that you're trying to now aggregate that like it's a total issue. It's not. It's affecting every single team, so therefore you can, one, make a cause that is uniform. Like everyone is affected by it, which would mean, why are we going to put an asterisk by something that is affecting all? Or we go on my side, which is basically...
I like your side.
My side is every time you sign up, it's a war of attrition. No matter how it affects you and no matter what the severity is. We could go to our sport. And you already know. All right, I see your face. You want to light up and go there?
I got something.
Okay, I know you got something there. We could go to any sport, and we're going to go to any year, and we're always going to have something, which is my point. So why are you going to single out this year's severity and then say asterisk when it happens all the time?
I like that cross punch you just threw at your boy. But again, you know me, I protect the ribs. Okay. Let's go to our sport. We're going to go there here in a second talking Sha'Carri Richardson. But first, I want to talk about American greats prior to her. Michael Johnson, Maurice Green. If y'all do not know who they are,
Bob Green,
you should. Maurice Green was the fastest man to run the 100 at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. Michael Johnson was the fastest man to run the 400, one lap, at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. Now, why didn't they run the 200, Marcellus Wiley? You will remember. Y'all will not remember. Because they raced each other at Olympic trials in the 200. Maurice Green, the fastest man in the 100. Michael Johnson, the fastest man in the 400. And they both got hurt. They both got hurt running. So who won at Olympic trials? A U.S. dude named John Capel. He won, which means he went to the Olympics to represent the United States of America because he was the best. But at the Olympics, he got 8th place. And somebody else won because Capel wasn't actually the best. Maurice Green and Michael Johnson, who got hurt, they were the best. So am I going to put an asterisk by the winner of the 200 meters at the Sydney Olympics? Yes, because he didn't
God.
beat the best.
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
look, America.
Wow.
Look, I do my homework. I have Marcellus Wiley's words. I have them. Can we get the sound? Can we get the sound? Sound, please. Sound, please.
Injuries, bro. I hate this. I always talk about when I ran track, and I hate it when I had to go against somebody who was injured. I hate it when I saw somebody with K-tape on. I'm like, man, I'm not going to get your best.
I'm not going to get your best.
I was waiting for me to say
Marcellus
asterisk.
Wiley,
I didn't say asterisk.
He hated it.
I hate it.
Even Marcellus Wiley, as a true competitor, a top 100 football player twice, a national record holder in a whole nother different sport, in a whole nother different generation. Even you, Marcellus, you know that you wanted to beat people at their best.
Of course I did. And of course I did. I actually did it. But in a situation like that, don't try to ever box me in like that, homeboy. Reluctantly, you would accept that gold because you didn't see everyone's best. But in terms of record, in terms of conjecture, it should never go down like, oh, you won this because asterisk, because we all sign up to survive the terrain. Think about it. If injuries weren't going to be a part of the equation, then I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. I might have been a Hall of Famer because that's the only thing that sat me. But then who do I sound like saying, oh, my career deserves an asterisk because it would have been different if I didn't get hurt? That's how you sound when you're talking about these teams.
We do that.
We would have been. Who?
We do. Derrick Rose won an MVP in 2011, stole an MVP from LeBron James, and we always say, and Rose's career different. Would have been different if he ain't get hurt.
But is he still gonna be who he is? Is he still gonna be a future Hall of Famer? Yes?
Is it?
Oh, God. We gonna have a... No. Debate. Derrick Rose not a Hall of Famer? Yao Ming's a Hall of Famer. Let's get off of this. Coming up?
I think so, but people gonna make the argument.
They can't. Well, then let them talk. But let's be real. Objectively, Derrick Rose is who he is. Everyone is who they are, with injuries, without, but no asterisks. We settled?
Asterisk is not a word.
An asterisk is certainly not a word. Coming up, U.S. star sprinter. We so hyped we get to talk track. U.S. star sprinter. How you say, Sha'Carri?
Sha'Carri.
I like Sha'Carri. Richardson has been suspended for a failed drug test and could miss the Olympics. Boy, we got a lot to say about this. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Getting recommendations from your friends for that perfect diet might be a big waste of time. The real answer is already within you, your genes. What are the best foods based on your DNA? What foods have the nutrients that you need? How quickly do you metabolize caffeine and alcohol? Don't guess. Use the code Speak for Yourself for $20 off a Geno Palette DNA kit. Find out how to eat for your genes.
U.S. sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson has accepted the 1-month suspension after she tested positive for marijuana. Richardson cannot compete in the 100 meters in the Tokyo Olympics, but might still be able to run in the relay later. The test came out at the Olympic trials last month, and Richardson said at the time she found out about her mom passing away and was triggered by the news. Richardson apologized for her actions and added, quote, "We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with, but to put on a face and have to go out in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain. Who are you? Who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you never experienced before or that you never thought you would have to deal with?" So, Marcellus Wiley, I know we talk track more than any other show. What is your reaction to Sha'Carri Richardson potentially missing the Olympics over a failed drug test?
Yeah, my first reaction is I'm actually relieved because of the circumstances. I'm going to be real about this. I owe her an apology that mentally I was having a conversation thinking when the news broke that it was performance enhancing, steroids, etc. And then it came out to be weed. And then I realized, oh, okay, I know what's going on right here because I've been through this situation before. I did lose my mother while I was still an active player in the NFL. And you know what? It didn't give me a license to ill. It did not give me a license to break rules and restrictions. The thing about this one is so many players that used to smoke weed and play. I had teammates as well. There's a Percy Harvin quote out there that says it wasn't a game he played in 9 years that he wasn't high. Percy Harvin. So I know that this has always been around the culture. Let's talk about the circumstances because the guys who used to play and used to get high used to always say, don't pay the stupid tax. And what is the stupid tax? That means you know when they're going to test, and you also know the amount they're going to test for. Don't get caught. So in this situation, I'm looking at Sha'Carri, and I'm saying simply, you got two choices, not three. You thought you had a third. Don't smoke weed, whatever the marijuana, edibles, whatever you're on, or smoke it and don't get caught. But then in this world today, there's a third option, I think, that is being feelings driven. It's being driven by your own justifications of behavior. And it's really reversing the equation of logic. So people are going through their own circumstances. I went through my circumstance of losing my mother. And then because they're going through that circumstance, they think that is now going to empower them to do what they want to do. And that's not how the world works. We talk about this situation right now. It's unfortunate. It certainly is a trivial conversation about the legalization of weed in America and in sports. We'll get to that. But the point is, I'm sorry, you knew the rules, you broke them. You got to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack here. I will start by saying this. You could submit that Sha'Carri's support staff and society failed her in not adequately providing her athletically legal ways to grieve and to cope with the loss of her mother, as I'm sure she's still trying to do. Now, with that being said, there are stupid rules in sports.
Okay.
But you still have to adhere to the stupid rules in sports, regardless of how stupid they are.
Yeah.
Before there was Sha'Carri Richardson, there was a man by the name of Christian Coleman. You want to know why we ain't talking about Christian Coleman? Because he's suspended right now.
Yeah, he gone.
And he's suspended because of a stupid rule. In track and field, if you have a whereabouts failure, 3 of them over 12 months, you get suspended. Christian Coleman had a whereabouts failure. As an Olympic athlete or an aspiring Olympic athlete, you have to update your location whenever and wherever you travel to. Because if a drug tester comes to your home and you are not there, strike one. So Christian Coleman, reigning world champion in the 100 meters. He's not going to be at the Olympics this year because of a stupid rule. Gabby Thomas, the fastest living woman to run the 200 meters. She just ran the fastest time ever, second to FloJo. She was provisionally suspended because she had a whereabouts failure. 3 of them. If not by the grace of an Uber receipt showing that she was home when the drug tester said she wasn't, we would not be seeing her, the fastest woman alive in over 200 meters, running at the Olympics.
Yeah.
A stupid rule. But you got to adhere to stupid rules. We have seen greater athletes be punished for longer for something lesser because of stupid rules. So the fact of the matter is, regardless of how dumb the rule is, you have to adhere to it. Now, it's a loss for a lot of people. Probably the fans.
Yeah.
Sha'Carri, Nike, the games. It's a loss for a lot of people. But so, as I look at it, let's please not make this racial.
Who did that?
Everybody trying to. It's not racial. It is not an American rule. The rule for her suspension is because of WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency. World. It is not about America, and it is not about trying to hold someone down because of their color of their skin or because of their race. There are so many racial issues in society that we have to be very accurate when we try to bring them up. It is not an American restriction. It is a world restriction. So that's the other thing on my first lap that I just needed to clarify.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about it in those terms. And you really put the boundaries out there, and I want to expand on those boundaries. One, missing your testing up to 3 times is not even a stupid rule in itself, because the guys who are guilty are intentionally missing those tests.
Could be true.
So no, there ain't no could be true. It is true. Let me tell you that. 2, Sha'Carri, you lost your discipline, and now you're going to be disciplined. I'm going to remind you of something you told me before that is actually one of the great Wiley-isms. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. Now, what clouds this one is, it's not her own doing. She's grieving a loss. So in that grieving process, what are the consequences of your actions? And what this situation shows us that there could be grave consequences, because the Olympics only comes one every 4 years, grave consequences by your choices. But it's still a stupid tax that you got to pay. And I want people to separate the emotional pull of her losing her mother from the reality of this is not still an opportunity for you to not abide by the rules. Let me tell you about these same rules from WADA, from USADA. God, this is so easy. The drug is banned in competition periods. Okay, so far most people are like, what does that mean? It's defined as beginning at 11:59 at night on the day before a competition and ending at its conclusion. Come on now. Come on, man. Wait a minute. You just basically told me a few hours. You got to be under 150 nanograms per milliliter. Okay, so now we're having a different conversation because reality, smoking weed, whatever your marijuana level was it right before the race? Was it a part of your training cycle? Because marijuana stays in your system up to a month. Cocaine, heroin, 2 to 5 days. So if you think about this situation, and God, I know too much about this because I had too many weed smoking friends and teammates. They know how to cycle in and cycle out. And that's why they always say, don't get caught or don't do it at all. That's the tough one about this, the emotional pull because of her loss.
Let's stay with the emotional pull because of her grieving a tremendous loss, a loss that some people have had to deal with in life. And if you haven't yet, you will have to eventually. But we all have to deal with tough things in life. So I'm not going to weigh one against another. But because of her grieving, I'm reminded of this. You don't make rules based upon exceptions. You make rules based upon the norm.
Yes.
If you're driving to the hospital and you're with your significant other, say you're with your spouse, with your girlfriend, whatever the case may be, and her water breaks, got to get to a hospital ASAP. So you run a red light.
Yeah.
Well, we can't now remove all red lights in the nation because your running of the red light was actually very justified in the instance.
Yeah.
You actually have to have a rule based upon a norm, not an exception. But also, rules aren't necessarily in place just to protect you. Most rules are actually in place to protect other people. I recently said this on Twitter, but I'll say it on the show. You can say it's cool to legalize weed in competition while you're running in a straight line, but it's probably not great to legalize weed in competition if you're throwing a javelin. It's probably not great to legalize weed in competition if you're using a pole to elevate over a pole 18 feet high, the pole vault. It's probably not great or safe to legalize weed in competition if you're throwing a discus, spinning around, and then heaving an object roughly 180 to 250 feet through the air with people, referees and whatnot, marking the distance. It's probably not a great idea. We have rules for the norm, not rules for the exception. So while this might be a merit-based exception, if you will, you don't make a rule based upon an exception.
No, you don't. And that's what's unfortunate about this situation, that maybe in her emotional state, that clouded her vision of seeing right from wrong. And now she has to deal with the consequences. She made this bed. It's time to lie in it. And Richardson's suspension has generated several opinions on why she got suspended. So, Acho, should marijuana be legal in sports?
That's a tough question because it's legal in some aspects in some states of society. Overall, I will say no. Marijuana should not be legal in competition. Remember what we were talking about, people. In this specific instance, you cannot smoke or edible or whatever the case may be from 11:59 prior to competition until competition is over. So as I look at it, should marijuana be legal in sports? No, because do you want a pitcher throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball under the influence of anything? Should marijuana be legal in sports? No, because again, do I want someone throwing a spear, which is what a javelin is, under the influence of anything? Now the counter is, well, Acho, alcohol is legal. Yes, but we're not having a debate about alcohol because nobody thinks it's a good idea to go out there drunk. Sus, it's a moot point. But it shouldn't be legal. You have to find ways to comp with whatever you're dealing with legally. Sel, let me give you an example because, again, me and Marcellus, we live track and field.
Boy,
both have lived
all
it,
day.
but I studied. I was actually at the Olympic trials. I watched Sha'Carri run. I watched her run out here, and I watched her run prior in Eugene years ago. With that being said, Sel, the fastest man in the world over 200 meters, the fastest man in the world over 200 meters right now, an American man, Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles, he put up a tweet recently, Sel, and he said, someone asked me, how did winning the world championship prepare me for the U.S. Olympic trials? He said, in short, it didn't help at all. U.S. Olympic trials was a monster compared to World Championships. Noah, I was in the warm-up area with the man. He was going through so much anxiety, you could see it. How did he cope? Headphones. How did he cope? Relaxation. Fastest woman in the world, over 200 meters. Gabby Thomas, I know her well. She had to take off her Whoop watch, Sal, and take off her Apple Watch because she did not want to see the lack of her sleeping habits and how her body had been broken down. That was how she coped with it. So I don't think weed should be legal in sports because while it might help an individual, it could still put other individuals in harm's way, and there are other ways to cope with different issues, I would assume. And if not, we got to get better at finding other ways to cope.
Yeah, exactly. I like that last point right there. I say yes and no. I'm really on the fence. That means I'm not doing my job right now, so I'm going to call it yo. Yes and no. Let me tell you why. I say no because it can impair and it can enhance you. Now, a lot of people don't look at marijuana as a performance-enhancing drug, but let's talk about it. According to my teammates, it helped with focus, helped with relaxation, helped with calmness, helped with their anxiety, and other things. Now, we all kind of understand what it can do in terms of impairing your abilities, compromise motor skills, et cetera. You're just in a different phase, different haze, maybe. But if you look at this situation for her, Sha'Carri, you jumped the gun of this legalization conversation. You jumped the gun in track, you're disqualified. You jumped the gun of legalization, hey, you're disqualified as well. I hate to do it to you, but you got to go. And it's a sad situation because I know you didn't mean to jump the gun. But if you watch anyone in a track race, to keep it in the sport, a lot of them don't mean to jump the gun as well. Everyone always thinks that you false start just because you're trying to cheat. Nah, sometimes you're false starting because you're sitting there full of that tension, that anxiety. When are they going to let me go? When are they going to let me go? Oh, I'm ready. And you just set off the sensors. Or you could just move. You could just switch. You just can't get your body and mind into a calm, still space. So it's not always with negative intention. I look at this situation, sadly, like, as Confucius once said, life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. We insist on making it complicated. There is so much room for not only her to find other coping mechanisms that were legal, but also other ways to not compromise what's so important, a once in every 4-year opportunity. But we're here, bruh. So legalization, if I had to say it, it's going to be legalized in the federal court soon. Clarence Thomas, one of the most, if not the most conservative Supreme Court justice, is already talking about the contradictions with this in terms of it being enforced on the state, federal level. That said, it ain't here yet. So it's not here yet, Sha'Carri.
Let's go somewhere, because we're going all over the place with this conversation, and every place we go, I love to arrive at. Let's talk about performance enhancing, because so many people are talking about the aspect that weed doesn't make you faster, it doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't make you quicker. Remember, to enhance something is either to add a positive or to subtract a negative. If you subtract the negative, that enhances you. If you add a positive, that enhances you. We're focused on the mind right now, so let's always stay focused on the mind, not just when it suits what we're trying to talk about. At the Olympic trials, everybody was anxious and everybody was nervous. So you want to know what would enhance performance? The ability to subtract anxiety. You want to know what would enhance performance? The ability to subtract stress. So while smoking weed or marijuana is not going to enhance your fast twitch muscles, no. It's not going to make you faster. It's not going to make you quicker. It's not going to make you stronger. If it can subtract stress and subtract anxiety, that does enhance performance. Remember, we're focused on the mind in America in 2021 and the stressors of the mind. We also need to understand that if weed can actually enhance you by taking away what is negative to you, then that does enhance performance.
Tremendous point of how you can get to the same place a different way. I love that. I want to talk about the anxiety of track, because it's not the same in any other sport. I ran track, high level. I played football, high level. Football didn't give me the same level of anxiety that track did. Football gave me a little more fear-laced in terms of preparation and mental anxiety, but it never reached the level of anxiety in track. You want to know why? Because one, in football, you can hide. No matter who you are. I don't care who you are. Even a quarterback can hide. A quarterback can get back there and throw an interception and say you ran the wrong route. All you have to do is this. We see it on a basketball player. Somebody missed a shot, he can say, oh, man, it was on you because this wasn't even the play for me. Everywhere, track is your ass and everybody looking at you. And more importantly, this is why there's so much anxiety. Because you are trying your hardest that entire time. Think about football. Go hard for 3 seconds. Take a break. Huddle up. Let's talk about it. How'd that go? Let's do something else. Go back out there. Go your hardest. Come back. How did that go? You have these moments of interruption that allows you as a collective to kind of hide and kind of do it together. Mob mentality. Not in track, brother. It is you trying your damnedest, and everybody knows you either won or you failed. So I look at this situation simply that it's unfortunate that she initially tried to rationalize this. And look, she had a good reason, obviously, but it's still not enough to go to this place. Rationalizations can't justify you violating restrictions. And now she's going to have to deal with it, brother. We all going to be at a loss, but she's going to be at the greatest loss because she got to wait 4 more years to do this again. Coming up, Kawhi Leonard's a Clipper right now, but what about next season? We'll tell you if he should consider leaving L.A. Nope, that's next. Don't speak for yourself. Kawhi Leonard had to sit out the conference finals with an injury. And now his future in L.A. is in question. Yeah, right. Kawhi is expected to decline his player option, which would allow him to become an unrestricted free agent. Reports say that the Heat and Mavericks will make a, quote, hard push if he tests free agency, and Dallas is considered a big threat because of Luka Doncic and cap flexibility. Acho, should Kawhi Leonard consider leaving the Clippers? New.
Absolutely. I think he should consider it, and being real, he probably should. Here's why. What's keeping him in L.A.? Paul George? Kawhi doesn't need Paul George to win a championship. Why do we know that? Because Kawhi Leonard went to win a championship in Toronto, a place that had also never won a championship, with Kyle Lowry. Now, I tried to make the argument that Kyle Lowry is as good as Paul George. You scoffed at me, so I will now agree with you. Kawhi Leonard can win a championship with lesser talent. So the issue at hand ain't Kawhi Leonard. The issue at hand is the talent that he's coupled with, clearly. At least if I'm Kawhi, that's what I would look at it as. I look around and say, well, I went to Toronto, and I won in year 1 when it was a harder road traveled. I came here against a easier road travel. I had to fight to get past the Mavericks my first year here. Then I got eliminated by the Nuggets my first year here. Then my second year here, I had to fight even harder to get past the Mavericks. Then we was in a dogfight against the Jazz before I got hurt. So clearly it's not a matter of being in L.A. is the best situation for me. Kawhi should go. Because where Kawhi goes, the chips go. The chips aren't in the Clippers. Well, even though it's Clip City, Chip City, it's really just Clip City City.
Watch your fingers.
Like the chips ain't in L.A. with the Clippers. So Kawhi has no reason to stay, and I'm very intrigued to hear why you think he should.
Man, stop. You know damn well he's not going anywhere. He's going to opt out to get more money, as he should, because his owner has the most money of all owners in sports. So we have the greatest resources. Let's think about that. From the top down, we the best. Now all we got to do is finish the rest, which is stay healthy, we win the championship. Simple as that. I'm not even going to get into player comparisons because it's not about just one individual player, Luka versus Paul George. It's about the collective. And if you think about it, the Mavs, the same team that in a decade have not won a single playoff series. Oh, you add them there? Yeah, they're going to do something. You remove him here, and we are 2 games away from the finals. So just think about what this team is without him. Just add add Kawhi. And then we got something there. It's just that simple, bro. Our squad is loaded. Just got to stay healthy, and we could steal a slice of Los Angeles. I lived in Dallas. Amazing city. It ain't like sharing it with the Lakers. Lakers will always be the one, the cream of the crop in L.A. I get it. But there is a slice of Laker fans, and more importantly, fans who are trying to pick their allegiances, pick their team, that we are going to snatch up. We're moving to a new arena 2024. That arena is going to be the best arena in the NBA. 1, because it's going to be the newest. 2, Steve Ballmer doing it. Good. You're going to walk in, your French fries going to float to you. You're going to think about a shake, it's going to end up in your hand. It's going to be crazy. Microsoft all down. Now, that said, the Staples Center is going to be 25 years old. Ooh, but we got free Wi-Fi. Like, that ain't going to be enough, bro. So this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a 10-year-old who's saying, which team do I root for, Pops? And if he has a good dad, his dad's going to allow him to choose. And guess what he's going to choose? The winning team. The Clippers. Since 2011. You want to know the win percentage of the Clippers versus the Lakers? Lakers not even 500. 46%. And the Clippers are 61%. All right, you going to pick. As soon as Kobe stop winning championships, then you going to pick the day. I work with you too, homeboy. With Kobe's 2 championships in tow as well, Lakers 50%. Barely 500. 507, actually. Clippers, 56%. Think about a 10-year-old on down to my son, MJ. They're going to go with the hot team, the hotter team, the better team. It's the Clippers. We got the most resources, best owner, deepest team, best three-point shooting, best free throw shooting team. All we had to do was stay healthy. We win. Clip City, Chip City.
Okay, the 10-year-old. Can we pick the, 13-year-olds? And
I still got you at 13, 2010, 2011.
Yeah, but the Lakers also have 3 championships. And that 13-year-old's right there.
He don't go to all them games. That's just like one series.
Here's a kicker, though, Sal, because really, Kawhi Leonard doesn't care about how good the Clippers are without him. Kawhi Leonard knows he can win a championship with anybody, so why stay in L.A.? The biggest factor to stay in L.A. is, hey, you got PG. Let's be real. Like, the biggest factor is where can you go and play with somebody else that's this good? As good as Paul George. But the problem is there are about 25 superstars, 25 all-stars in the league. 25 all-stars in the league by talent, not by who makes an all-star team.
Okay.
Paul George is amongst the worst of them, or at least he's amongst the most inconsistent. Look at the playoffs, Sal. You know me, it's facts over feelings all day. 2021 postseason. Players to average 20 points or more. Paul George, he had the 4th worst shooting percentage of them. Look in the conference finals. Let's get to a more narrow group. 8 players average 20 points or more in the conference finals amongst those teams. Paul George has the 6th worst shooting percentage. So when you talk about stars based upon the points they score, because that's why people make all-star teams, Rudy Gobert's an incredible player, but he's a defensive player, so we don't really talk about him like that, because we'd rather talk about the scoring leader like Steph Curry. You're an all-star because of points. Based on that, Kawhi's like, hey, PG, you an all-star, but I can go find another all-star as good as you. Let's be real.
Oh, my God. First of all, where's he going? Okay, I love this. People always say, I'm out of here. Where are you going? I don't know. That is not a good choice. You should have known where you're going before. I keep hearing about the Heat, and I keep hearing about the Mavs. And I really hear about the Mavs, as I said earlier, about them really putting in a good push because they got Luka and the cap flexibility. Let me just remind Kawhi Leonard, since, you know, that's my dog. I'll probably text him right now. I ain't got his number, but I'm going to text him anyway and see what happens. That the Clippers have a better defense than the Heat and Mavs last year. And the Clippers have a better offense than the Heat and Mavs last year. And let me remind him that he's beaten the Mavs the last 2 years in the playoffs in the first round. And let me remind him that the Heat, even though they went to the finals in the bubble year, last year they got bounced in the first round. And they're going to return. Look at this lineup. Tell me if this is great. Jimmy Butler, okay. Goran Dragic, Iguodala, he golfing. I like Bam. I like Bam. And Tyler Hero. Damn, I like him when he ain't in the studio. He's pretty good. Point being, I don't see that team doing it.
But if you're Kawhi, Sal, you know this. If Kawhi goes to the Heat are better than the Clippers. If Kawhi goes to the Mavericks, if Kawhi is on the Heat and is not on the Clippers?
No, because you got to think.
A Clippers team without Kawhi is better than a Heat team with him?
One, that void will be replaced. Now, it won't be replaced with a Kawhi-level player, but we could get multiple players. We could do, look, we went to 2 games from the finals basically without Kawhi. And this is different because you're going to bring up maybe, or you're thinking about Giannis. And now I can hear people right now on Twitter, well, Giannis, you know, they missing Giannis in Milwaukee. They missed him 1 game. We missed him for an entire series plus, and we still got this close. You don't leave L.A., the real L.A., not the Lakers L.A., Hollywood and Sunset and West Side. We talking about real L.A., you know, Inland Empire, homeboy, you know what I'm talking about? City of Orange, you know what I'm talking about? Like, that's all of L.A., and it's for the Clippers taking. Kawhi, stay. It's yours. Coming up, it's a hard knock life for Dak. It's a hard knock life. We'll tell you if being on Hard Knocks this summer is good for the Cowboys. That's next. Don't speak for yourself.
Let's head to Dallas.
Let's go.
We'll all get a closer look at the Cowboys this summer, since they're going to appear on this year's version of Hard Knocks. It will be Dallas's 3rd time on the show, but keep this in mind. No team has ever won the Super Bowl the same year they appeared on the show. But it's fine, because y'all were not going to win a Super Bowl before. Anyway, Marcellus, is this good for the Cowboys?
It's good for the Cowboys. More shine, more time, and it's all fine. Yeah, 2010 Jets did make the conference Playoffs and the finals. Yes, respect the championship game. No? Or you don't like that? Whatever. First of all, I don't believe in jinxes and all these. I hate that voodoo, Clippers curse. Oh, you're on Hard Knocks. Like, oh, you're on the cover of Madden. Shut up. Like, who? Do y'all understand that this world works on receipts based on your actions? Nobody give a damn what you talking about. People come at me all the time. You always talking trash. That's what you get. That's why the Clippers lost. If you really think my tweets made the Clippers lose, you boo-boo the fool. And you boo-boo the fool if you think the Cowboys going to lose any games because they went on Hard Knocks and was talking a little more to the camera. You know how training camp goes. I don't give a damn who there. I'm working. I'm grinding. This is how I eat. And on top of that, if you're a Dallas Cowboy, you're already used to the attention. I play for the Cowboys. It could be Wednesday in October. We already maxed out in media credentials. This sucker locker room looked like we won a Super Bowl. It's Wednesday practice, bro. So these guys are used to the shine, a little bit more of it. It's not going to hurt them, and it's certainly not going to impair their performance.
I co-sign just about everything you said. The real is they weren't going to the Super Bowl anyway.
Don't do that.
They weren't. You and I agreed.
No, we don't agree.
Yes, you did.
Why did we agree?
You said we were going to win a playoff game. You said they were going to win a playoff game, and that's where you stopped.
I did not.
2 days ago.
What?
Find the footage in a couple days.
I said they're going to win a division. They'll win a playoff game. That's a deemed successful season. We'll go further than that. You over here.
Anyways.
Cooking.
I don't know those, Sal, because now let's go back into the locker room.
Let's go.
In football, training camp is actually where the work gets done.
Yes.
Like, unfortunately, the work doesn't actually occur during the course of the week. Everything occurs during training camp.
Yeah,
during training camp, you learn all 75 plays that you have all season. You do not add any plays during the course of the season. It's just these 75 typically in training camp. Now, during the course of a week, you grab from that bucket of 75 for the week. You grab those 25 or so. You might tweak a play.
We made up a stunt here and there.
Yeah, you make up a stunt here and there.
No, you go first. You go first.
Exactly. But you're not actually learning new stuff in the season. Why the heck do I bring that up? Because if in training camp, I should be focused on Coach Wiley teaching me how to run cover 2 drop better. But I got a camera looking at me like this camera's catching me right now. And I should be taking notes on Wiley, but instead I'm like, let me see if I look good. Hey, Acho, what I just say about the cover 2 drop? I do think, Mansell, there might be, I don't know how maximal, I don't know how marginal, but there might be at least some little distraction and detraction based upon having more cameras in the locker room during the most permeable teaching moments of a season.
Will you stop? Two things, it sounded great. And here's another one that sounds good. Distractions are always attractions. Think about it. Have you ever been reprimanded in a meeting before, yes or no?
Yeah.
And there were no damn cameras in there, boy. You just distracted. It don't matter. Look, boy, me, especially when I was kind of the man, hey, brother, my mind everywhere. First of all, I already know these plays. Second of all, I'm going to study them after, and I studied them before. But in this moment, I'm wondering. I play with Hall of Famers that slept through every meeting. Every meeting. So don't give me this camera all of a sudden, you're not on your P's and Q's because the camera here. These dudes ain't on their P's and Q's all the time. Keep it real with these fans out there. 2, let me give you new focus versus old school focus. And you're too young to have old school focus. Sound like you do. Old school focus is this. Acho, there's a dot right there. Stare at it. Football. What's the play? Yes, coach. New school focus is... Acho, there's a lot of dots there. I need you to prioritize the dots and know what's most important in this moment. These dudes know what's most important. It ain't being cute on camera. It's to get that grind on for the championship. They ain't going to win this year. But they're going to be in it with my Chargers. Coming up is LeBron doing some off-season recruiting. We'll tell you if there's something to his run-in with Damian Lillard. That's next on Speak for Yourself. July 13th. Judge Tatis Ohtani and baseball's finest face off in a mile-high midsummer slugfest. Let's go. Coors Field, Denver. It's the 2021 MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard. July 13th on Fox. The LA Sparks game brought out some big-time stars this week, including LeBron James and Damian Lillard, who briefly chatted it up. Of course, I would do, boy, I would do. Dame has had his name floating around in trade rumors since the Blazers' playoff exit, and he is co-starring in Space Jam 2 later this month with LeBron. So, Acho, is this something or nothing?
Absolutely nothing. The premiere of Space Jam 2 came out on like Monday. Why do I know? Because I told my publicist to get me the plug. and we didn't get plugged.
You didn't get?
No, I asked her on like Sunday night.
Oh,
I didn't realize it was
that ain't the
happening.
reason.
I know.
Okay,
Okay, first off, that is okay. I'm getting in the Space Jam 2 for me. Okay, don't try me, Sal.
Ooh, C-list.
I know. Maybe D-list, but I'm climbing.
You higher than me, though.
Nah, I don't mean nothing, yo. Dame's one of the most likable players in the league. If he sees Bron, of course he's gonna dap each other up. And Dame is in Space Jam, of course he's gonna be there.
Yeah, exactly, man.
D-list, really?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm probably H-list.
Oh, yeah. You climbing. Well, you start at Z, fool. I mean, what the hell are you climbing? Hey, this ain't nothing. The last time I checked, WNBA games ain't the battleground for major trade talks. So guess what? They was just chilling. Have a great weekend. Fox Bet Live next.